Hey, my name is Lucas, and in this video today, I want to go over how we made over 150K in cash collected in about 10 days with an online course for a TikTok and Instagram creator. I also want to go over how you can monetize your audience in a very similar way, and most importantly, how you can deliver something to your audience that feels authentic and something that your audience is actually looking for. So just to give a little bit of context about this creator, they were posting content which was essentially behind the scenes of running their creative business. So she was producing a very specific type of product, which she was selling via an Etsy store and a Shopify shop. And on her social media, she was posting content about how she was creating this product, how she was shipping it out. And she was running all of this from home and documenting that journey. And in that process, she had accumulated an audience of about 50,000 on TikTok and about 150,000 on Instagram. Now, at the time of her approaching us, she had no email list, but she had basically received a lot of DMs and a lot of comments to her videos on other people asking how they could set up something similar from home, how they could, like how she went about it, what kind of equipment she's using. And so she already knew that there was an interest in her audience of basically learning what she was doing, but she had no idea how to go about it. So she had never launched a digital product before. She knew that she had the audience, but she also didn't have the time since she was running her creative business on the side of this, as well as obviously like full-time content creating. So she came to us and she asked how basically she could best launch this. So we like to organize these projects into 3 phases. The first phase being the pre-launch, the second phase being launching the actual product, and then the third phase turning everything that we launched and turning that into an evergreen funnel that essentially sells the product that we just launched on autopilot. So in the pre-launch phase, this is all about building and nurturing the email list, but it's also about understanding who really is in the creator's audience. So it's about obviously accumulating people into the email list. And then once they're in there, what we like to do is we run an ask survey. So I'll go over that in the next slide, but this is essentially just surveying who's in the audience, where they're at, and like what they've tried, their desires, challenges, pain points, all of that. In the pre-launch, we also want to start building interest in whatever we're going to launch. So that includes sending emails, letting people know that, something is being built in the background. We want to build that kind of like anticipation and just really start nurturing that email list, as well as obviously on social media as well. In the second stage, this is the launch stage. So this is usually like a week or 10 days of launching the program, whether that's a self-study course or a coaching program or a course and community, whatever it is. It's basically running the launch offer for about a week. And the reason we like to do this is that it obviously it gives people an incentive to purchase during that week at a discounted price. And then, like I said, in the evergreen stage, this is basically taking everything that worked well. So we analyze the emails that performed best, what worked well on the sales pages, analyzing the results of that, and then taking all the best assets from the pre-launch and launch phase, and then automating those so that we can be doing the selling part on autopilot. So how did we go about building the email list for this creator? So because the audience was already primed in the fact that they were asking about like the equipment or how they could set something similar up, we decided instead of launching a free lead magnet to build the email list, that we would instead just launch a waitlist. So the waitlist here, it was a simple landing page. It said coming soon, this program. And then essentially it had a bit of an introduction to the creator, and then also just a brief overview of what they could expect in the program that would be coming out. And then you also want to give an incentive of, why they should join the waitlist if you are launching a waitlist. So in this case, they were going to be receiving a one-off discount. Like the program would basically never be this low again. That gave just a great reason for people to sign up there and then. That strategy built an email list of about 1,500 people, and that was in about 2-3 weeks. I would recommend having, when you're going to launching your program, having about 1,000 people. I'll go over that in a second. Now, if you're looking to launch something and your audience isn't kind of primed in the same way this creator was, so people asking about how to set something similar up, what you could launch instead rather than a waitlist is a lead magnet. So with a lead magnet, I always suggest that whatever you put out for free, it needs to be super valuable, because you're setting expectations for what you're going to be putting together in your paid program. Whereas if what you give out for free can be just generated via ChatGPT or it's just low value, then obviously their expectations are going to be fairly low, and you're going to have more of an uphill battle when it comes to selling your program. Now, a lead magnet I find that often works really well is a toolkit. So I see a lot of creators and influencers, they give out their affiliate links at the bottom of their YouTube video or Instagram bio or whatever it is. What you could do instead, depending on your niche and where you're operating, but one thing that works really well is you list out all of the equipment that you are using in your niche, whatever it is you're posting about, along with like some tips, and you put it together in a toolkit and you give that out for free in exchange for their email and their name. So once you get people into your list, you then want to start surveying them. So this is probably my favorite part because I find it essentially sets the framework up for how valuable your program will be and how well a launch will do as well. So when someone signs up to the waitlist or your lead magnet, you want to automate sending them a confirmation email. That email has one of the highest open rates, and you want to use that because in that email, you want to include a link to a survey. And in that email, you kind of want to phrase it like, if it's a waitlist, thanks for joining the waitlist. To make sure that I really create something that is valuable to you, I would love your input. People love giving their input on things, so it's a great way to get people to actually do the survey. The survey that we use, it's adapted from Ryan Levesque. So he's written a book called Ask several years ago, super good book. And what we've done is we've kind of adapted that survey, and the questions that you ask, this will largely depend on the niche that you're operating in, the offer that you're giving out, but the core framework of the survey kind of stays the same. So the very first question you want to ask is, when it comes to your niche, what is the number one challenge that you're facing right now? So this question will reveal their pain points, the challenges that they're facing, and it really gets them into a reflective mode. A lot of audience research surveys that people conduct, they ask the demographic questions first, like yes/no questions. And the only issue with that is it kind of gets people in that yes/no binary way of thinking. And so when it comes to asking more open-ended questions, they're not in that reflective mindset versus asking something like, what's your challenge in this? That already gets them into giving as much value in that answer as possible. And that's obviously what you want, because the more input that you have from the customer, the more that you can work with when it comes to putting together your offer, when it comes to putting together your sales emails, your landing page, all of that. The second question you want to ask is, if you had a magic wand and this challenge that you're facing could magically disappear, what would your desired outcome look like? This question is all about getting them to dream and getting them to let you know, like, what's their goal? Like, what are they actually looking to transform? The third question then is, what have you already tried? Basically getting people to let you know, like, what they've tried, what's worked, what hasn't worked. And the last question, which basically gives you all the questions that your audience has, is, if you could sit down with me for 30 minutes and ask me any question, what would that be? And this essentially is a goldmine for people letting you know what's on their mind. It also allows you, when it comes to actually designing the program, when you're creating the modules, you can answer those questions. Or if you're launching with a webinar or on your sales page, this is essentially your FAQ section. But the whole goal of the audience research is that at the end of conducting this, exactly who your audience is, like what kind of pain points they have, what is their ultimate desire, and like what is their goal out of all of this. And with that information, it's just an absolute goldmine for creating your offer exactly for this avatar. And then also when it comes to creating all of the sales assets and the launch assets, you can speak their language. If you can relay back words and phrases that they're using, people will feel understood, and that will only help your conversions. So the next step was then to put together the actual program. And as I just mentioned, this obviously becomes a lot easier once you have the data, because when it comes to actually designing the course, we are now able to really address the pain points, the challenges, the transformation that people are looking to have when they invest into your program. We're able to design all that with the backing of the data versus just kind of freeballing it. Because I've spoken with so many creators, and so many have this anxiety of, what if what I launch, A, doesn't sell, or B, doesn't come across authentic, and it's just kind of seen as, yet another course or program. With the course design that's data-driven, we are basically able to, with full confidence, know whatever we launch with the creator, that this is going to be exactly what this audience needs, where they're at kind of in their journey, and we're able to help them in that process versus creating something and hoping that this is kind of what they need, but actually really missing the mark. So next was building building the launch asset. So during this period, the creator went away and started recording the material needed for the program. At the same time, we got to work with building everything needed to launch the program. So the first thing we needed was a sales page and a checkout page. So on the sales page, the kind of general design of it was headline at the top. Right under the headline, we want to have a VSL video. VSL video is about 3 to 5 minutes, and you can kind of see it like a trailer for your program. You want to follow a format of, you want to hook them in, tell a story of your journey and why you have created the program that you have. And then at the end, you want to obviously give them your offer. You want to have this at the very top because it's one of the greatest things you can have on your sales page for conversions. People buy from people. So if they can kind of see you talking about your story and what you've kind of put together, this will just really help conversions and selling your program. So have this at the top and just make sure that you're kind of letting people know to watch this first before proceeding to the rest of the sales page. In terms of the design of the sales page, one really important thing to note is when people buy, they buy with emotion first, and then they kind of justify their purchase with logic. So at the top of the sales page is where you really want to have more emotional copy. You want to deep dive into their pain points, things that they've tried in the past, which from the Ask survey, we should know now. Things they've tried in the past, why they haven't worked. Also talk about their desire, like what if this was solved, like what would your life look like then? And then we want to basically move into the more logic side of introducing the course, talking about like what's included in the course. If you have testimonials at this stage, include them. If you don't have testimonials for your program, that's not a problem. You can include testimonials of other products you might have launched, or maybe you've got like reviews or just something that you can include here for social validation. Then you want to also include who this is for. So kind of getting people to self-identify whether this is for them or not. FAQs, which again, from the Ask survey data, you should have here. The FAQs, really important to note, is that these are all about handling the sales objections. So people go to FAQs to kind of really see whether this is for them. It's one of the most kind of scroll to element of sales pages. So you want to make sure that this isn't kind of like the last thing you do on a sales page. You want to make sure that this is really, each question is there for a reason, and each answer obviously is selling your program on like, you know, why they need this. And then at the end also, you want to have a guarantee. So for this creator, our guarantee was if you don't make a single sale in a year after purchasing this program, we'll refund you the full amount. Essentially what we want to do is reverse the risk in their head of what if this just doesn't work out for me? Maybe they've already tried out different programs. Like what if this one also doesn't work out for me? The guarantee is there to basically, as a last push, let them know that the risk of them investing is minimal. And then at the very end, you want to have your offer stack and your price. So what you don't want to do is just have the price without justification. What you want to do is basically outline everything that's included in your program, really break it out and attach a value to it so that you're basically letting them know like, this is what they're going to get. This is what they're going to get. So that when you're actually listing the price, it's like it's anchored in there and it's justified essentially. So a VSL video, like I mentioned, we want to have that on the sales page. This was about 3 to 5 minutes of the creator to record. We put that all together then for them. The other launch assets that we needed to have was the email sequence. So we obviously have the pre-sale emails, and then we have for the launch week, every single day we want to be sending an email. A lot of creators feel like, oh, this is too much. In this day and age where attention is, like everyone's fighting for attention, we want to make sure that during this period that we're at the top of the customer's mind. The other thing to note is each email, we don't want to just make it a generic, like it's live for 7 days. That obviously is annoying and nobody wants to receive those emails. So also have fun with them and just always go back to like, who is your customer? Who is your avatar? What do they need? Like what information do they need from you in order to make their decision to invest into your program? So the first email obviously will be a launch email, letting people know that it's live now, that they can grab it at a discounted rate because they joined the waitlist. Second day, you want to go basically deep dive more into what's actually included in your program. Day 3 is then common mistakes. So for this creator, it was common mistakes that this creator often sees when people start an Etsy shop. Make it a bit more like story-based on common mistakes that people have, and then kind of flip the script on you can avoid all of these mistakes if you join my program. Day 4 is all about why now. So basically why they should invest now into your program versus putting off the buying decision. Day 5 is getting them to reflect on where will they be in 6 months. So this email is all about getting them to kind of visualize 2 paths. Path 1 is they've invested in your program, they've done the transformation, and in 6 months, their life will look more aligned with the desire that they let you know. Or the second path being they kind of try what they've always tried before, and they're going to be in this exact same stuck position in 6 months' time. That's kind of the day 5 framework here. What works really well is if you are launching in the summer, putting actually like a date on it. So if you're launching in the summer, you could base it on where will you be by Christmas? Where will you be by New Year's? That always works really well. Day 6 is then kind of like final call. And in this email, you want to really be addressing all the sales objections. So this is an FAQ email. You're really just answering questions that either came up during this week or having the FAQs from the sales page. Day 7 is then up to you whether you want to have this, but you can extend the sales by 48 hours. That always gets kind of people who are on the fence to pull the trigger and join your program. But essentially at the last minute, say like, look, people have said whether we could extend this by 24 hours. So that's kind of the email sequence that we had for this creator. So once it was all in place, basically when it comes to launch day, you don't want to be scrambling around. I find that always the most stressful. If you have all of your launch assets set up, you have your emails written, all of that, it should all just be scheduled so that when it comes to launch, you can kind of just enjoy it. So on launch day, one thing to note is it's so normal for so many people. You press that button on sending the email and there's kind of like radio silence maybe for half an hour. And then with this creator, sales started rolling in an hour later. And then after the sales promo of 10 days, we were able to collect 156K. And this was in cash collected. So a lot of that was also in payment plans. So obviously the total amount was well over 250K, but actual cash collected on the day was 156, which far surpassed what we were kind of projecting. And that was of an email list of about 2,000 people. And actually to date, I'll cover this in a future video, but we were then able to set up, if I just go back to our strategy, so we had the pre-launch, the launch, and then the evergreen. So we were able to set up a super successful evergreen funnel, which made them between 80 and 100K. And within the span of 1 year after launching, they had made over 1.1 million in revenue purely from organic traffic. So at this stage, they hadn't even run any ads to this offer. So this was almost entirely profit for them. So yeah, I wanted to show what's possible. I wanted to show you the framework of how to set something like this up, how to launch it, how to go about it in a way that you're launching something that's authentic and on brand, and also like what your audience is actually looking for, and then how to go about what you need to build to essentially sell your program. I hope that was useful. If you have any questions, feel free to email me anytime or send me a DM, and I would be happy to help you. I hope all that made sense. Subscribe to this channel for more information like this. Leave a comment if this was useful, and I hope to see you in a future video. Take care. Bye.